Good morning and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I'm Fran, and today we have a very special guest, Lauren Kennish, who is a speech pathologist. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you very much, ladies. How are we
Oh,
all doing today?
We're
good.
doing well, thank you. And can you talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing to make the world a better place?
I can. Thank you. I try very much to make the world a better place. So my profession is speech language pathology. And what us speech language pathologists do is we work from birth to the end of life on many things, actually. We work on articulation, speech, language. We work on cognition, as well as swallowing and feeding. So anytime we find it's disordered, we evaluate, we treat, we plan, and that's what I do every day, as well as being a mom.
Very nice. Can you
That,
tell us a little bit about the things that you do with families? I know that you work privately, you work for a company, but if you could explain a little bit of the extra things that you do to help people have a better life or
Sure. Um, so a lot of times, especially with little ones, because right now I am working with little ones rather than the geriatric age, we work on when a child has any type of disordered speech and or issues with articulation or language. We work to build that. So we build vocabulary. When it comes to articulation, it's the way that we move and pronunciate each thing. And on top of that, I also do family training. So I work very closely with the families in order to help them elicit language, especially with the younger children.
nice.
that,
And you make plans for them. I'm sure that when you have a child that has a difficulty, it's more frustrating. It's more frustrating, obviously, for the child, but for the parent because they
Yes.
don't always get it. You know what I
Right.
mean? The way other children do. So you need more strategies.
Yes. And with that being said, you also want to tread lightly because there are a lot of things parents are already doing to elicit that language. And what I'll do is I'll come in and kind of guide them in a more structured way to get that language out, to build that language. So, as we all know, reading to your child is huge. I mean, it exposes them to the language. And what most people don't really realize is everyone, whether you're an adult or a child, you need to receive things receptively prior to having them expressively. So a lot of times parents are like, my kids aren't saying please and thank you. And I'm like, okay, well, be that model. So you want to be the model that you want to see, just like we say in most areas of our lives. The more you do it, the more you see it, the more you know how to do it. So that's kind of how I guide my families. And again, I'm concentrating on working with the little ones right now, whereas in the past I had worked with, older adults and dementia patients. I also help a good friend of mine who's 77 and just newly has a dementia diagnosis, which is heartbreaking to the family, and they find it very difficult to kind of work around their daily living. So we're getting used to things like writing notes. We put notes in the pocketbooks. We put notes on the mirrors to remind her who she is, where she is, that she's safe. We have another one with my number on it in case she needs something, because again, it's a very difficult thing, and that's someone that you love. So you want to do everything for them, but it's also very frustrating because they'll wake up and say, "Oh no, where am I?" And they don't remember that they're home. So yeah, this is what I do. I love
oh my
it.
goodness. Wow. And you can
Yeah.
see how passionate you are about it in your face, the way that you're talking about it, your love for it. That's wonderful.
I do. And I do have a son with atypical needs. He has a condition called tuberosclerosis complex. So it's TSC2. And what that is he grows benign tumors on different areas of his body. So the
Mm.
areas of concern are his skin, his eyes, his kidneys, his brain, and his heart. Luckily, my son really only has characteristics on his brain, but it does cause him to have epileptic seizures. But he is thriving. And we are getting all the help we need because he was in early intervention and now he's transitioning over to CPSC, which is preschool services. So I'm very excited for him. And then also I have my daughter, Annalise, and she's a wonderful little sister.
Yeah, she's
And
fun.
definitely busy, but it's fun.
Nice. And when you said you're teaching families how to model, don't you find that, you try to be in everyday life, in church today, and everywhere you go, you hold the door, you say, please, excuse me, thank you. And you're hoping that if you know, same thing with kids, if you set a good example, if you're a good person in your everyday life, not just what you do for a living, but how you treat people, everyone, even the
Yes.
frustrating people in your lives, to try to be
Most often the
uh,
frustrating people.
right. Those are the hardest. That's why I meditate and I try to be better so that, the only thing we can control is ourselves, right? So one of the things that I love to do with little kids is I talk a lot, obviously, hence the podcast, but everything we do, we up, down, back, forth, you know what I mean? Like you don't realize that how much children learn. Well, obviously we know they learn by our example, right? But the more you talk and you don't realize the things they say. Like yesterday, Theo went in the pool and he said, I'm going the back way because it's not the main steps into the pool, and
And it's an accomplishment. That's something to
right, it is.
celebrate. And
Right,
it's what I tell most of my families. Make
right.
sure you celebrate even the little things. So for my families where their children are nonverbal and there are no sounds being made, we start with environmental sounds, beep, vroom, things like that, because those are a celebration. Those are sounds. They mean something. There's intent. And that's what it is I'm kind of trying to get all the families to really work with and understand, because it may not be what you think is the exact timing. And when we say everybody grows differently, like they do, but inevitably we want all of our milestones to be reached. And it just takes different steps to get there. Some people have 5 steps, other people have 25, and that's okay. But it's working your way to getting to them rather than expecting that jump, that leap. We're not leaping, we're taking steps. And that way we can accomplish our goals. And I think that goes for everybody. I think a lot of times, especially when you have high standards and when you want to do everything in your power to be your best, you set these goals. You want to make sure that you're setting goals that are achievable, that take you each step of the way, because then you don't feel disappointment in yourself. You feel that accomplishment. You feel like you're getting somewhere. And that could go for weight loss to being the best mom you can be. Just give yourself the time and take those steps,
Right, be
if that
nice to
makes
yourself,
sense.
right? We talk about that every week, don't we, Fran?
We do. Absolutely. What was it that attracted you to speech pathology?
So I'm not huge on astrology, but everybody who is tells me I'm a true Cancer. I wanted to be everything. So I finally had to decide, and I knew I wanted to do something where I can help people. And speech I took one class and it spoke to me. And I like to speak. So it worked. And once I started taking the courses, I loved it. I really did. It's such a passion of mine. Right now, I'm working privately. I am contracted out through districts. So I work right now for about, I'd say, 2 to 5 years old. I do have some private clients that range from 7 to 13. Um, and we do all different things. A big thing for school age kids is the help before second grade, because in second grade, you're still learning to read, whereas by third grade, you're reading to learn. And there's a
Mm.
really big difference between that. So if and when you find there's a struggle, that's a great time for that help. Um, yeah, I
Wow,
do.
you work with people as young as 2?
Yes, yes. We work on language. So by the age of 2, you want to have at least 50 words so that you can really start joining your words together. So you're looking for things like more up, um, more bottle, more milk, or goodbye, mom. So, and it's a little technical, but goodbye counts as one word because we learn it as one word, if that makes sense. And yeah, also with feeding. So when a child is, what a lot of people call a picky eater versus a child who has any type of aversions to textures, we have different methods and ways to kind of get them to try new things and ideas for parents so that
Oh,
they can
wow.
help improve their eating habits.
That's excellent. Well, how helpful that is. My goodness. And what is the oldest person that you've ever worked with?
Wow, the oldest person I've ever worked with is 101. Yes, and this was at
My
Helen
age.
Hayes. Yes, Helen Hayes Rehabilitation Center, which was an unbelievable experience. It is a phenomenal place. Not that I'd want anybody to have to be there, but if you have to, it's a great place to be for rehabilitation. We worked on feeding and swallowing. Um, I also worked with trach patients as well who have the trach and have to learn how to re-swallow and everything. Another big thing with that age is cognition. So working on, letter sound correspondence the same way we do for the younger children, we have to do again post injury of any kind, any insult to the brain or stroke in most cases when I was there.
Wow, how
Yeah.
fascinating. Is there a particular type of patient that you like to work with more than with others?
So it depends on the day. Um, it really does because I do miss working with the older demographic. So I'm thinking of maybe getting my foot back in over there, but I love it all. I love it all. I mean, you know, I remember the first client I ever had, and it was in school, and I felt so excited because a lot of times in undergrad, they didn't give you a client to work with. So it was a big deal all in all, and I wanted to make everybody proud. And it was a 15-year-old. And I was so nervous because I was like, this child can fight back or, can be like, no, I'm not doing that. So, but it was cool to be able to work with that age and to be able to, motivate and actually see an improvement. It's a great job.
Yeah, and how great is it that you helped him to be proud of himself, to
Yes.
accomplish something that otherwise would have been so difficult,
Well, I do say to most of my families when I introduce myself is I'm very big on advocacy. So I want a child, whether they're able to speak it or put it on an AAC device, which is maybe like an iPad or a program that allows you to, have an output of language. I want them to be able to ask for help. I want them to be able to, work with yes and no, because I want there to be some type of way for them to advocate for themselves.
Right.
And I think that that's a really big deal because right now I feel like it's not really being instilled into our kids to be able to say, I need help. I don't know how to do this. Or, and it's important to know that I'm an adult. I'm great with my letters and my sounds, but I need help with a lot of things. And that's okay to need help because we're all still learning.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We all do need help, and it's really important to know that it's good to ask for help.
Yes,
That is, people feel weak sometimes when they have to ask for help, but it's really a sign of strength. You're saying, let's get this accomplished.
exactly. It is strength.
Yeah,
Knowing when to ask for help too.
yeah, absolutely. Now you mentioned an AAC device. May I ask what that is?
Yes, an AAC device is augmentative technology or an assistive technology. So that could be anything from a program. I know a few different names. I had some experience in a nonprofit preschool. Um, so there are eye gaze machines where if you're unable to use your arms or your hands, you're able to peer, stare, and then it'll grab the word for you on a screen, almost like an iPad. And then you could create a sentence depending on your age and your ability to do so. There are others that are geared toward pictures. So it's picture technology. So you can actually click on your iPad or on a screen. There are even like walkie-talkie type little carriers that you can use. And what it does is it allows you to have a voice if you don't have one. And sometimes it's because anatomically you're unable to create a voice. And that's when that's really helpful. A lot of, the hard of hearing and deaf community will use them. There's also cochlear implants. I do have a best friend who works for the School for the Deaf, so she knows a lot more about that than I do. But one great thing about my field is we all work together. And when I have a new client that I am unfamiliar with, I do my continuing education in that area, but I can also reach out to all my friends and be like, hey guys, have you ever had a client with XYZ? Or have you ever found this to be a difficulty? And what can you send me? And we all really help each other. So it's cool.
That's nice. Now, you just filled in a school setting, right? In a setting where you had a bunch of kids. What'd you think of that? Did you like that as much as private?
I did. It's definitely different. Definitely different. There were a lot more needs for those children, and they receive a lot more help. So they receive special education, they receive occupational therapy, physical therapy, as well as speech. And a lot of them actually receive feeding therapy as well. So with that being said, there's a lot of kids in one classroom, a lot of different personalities, a lot of behaviors, and it's finding different ways to get everybody to kind of do their own thing, but work together at the same time. So it's definitely different than the one-on-one, because that's what I do mostly is one-on-one, which I have such a passion for. Not that I'm against the group therapy, but I find it a little more difficult. I have colleagues and friends who love the groups. So I'm not saying that that's not a great thing, but it was definitely different. My heart goes out to every person who does that 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. It's difficult.
Demanding.
It's
It's
not easy.
demanding.
It
Yeah.
is. It's very demanding, but it's so rewarding. Like,
Yeah.
and when you hear a child use a word or a sound for the first time, it gives you that like, wow, just that's exactly
Yeah.
what it does for you. It's just like, wow,
In this,
they did
in the
it.
group settings, do they do everything at once? Do you do speech,
Sometimes.
OT, and PT? Everybody's doing something different and doing something together?
So there's a multidisciplinary approach where we kind of all work together and communicate with what we need our students and what their goals are. So if a child's working on pinching and fine motor in their occupational therapy, despite the fact that that is not my field, I know that I can use certain things and certain toys
Yeah.
and items while eliciting that language to get them to also work on that as well. Now, if there's something they're doing that I'm really unsure of, I can always, reach out to the OT and be like, hey, I noticed this. How should I be moving the fingers, or how should I cue? So, and then I will give them feedback on speech. So something that really works is yes or no. So we do a lot of sign language help. Okay, so there are those type of things, or I can say, if you raise your hand like this, they'll produce that L with their tongue up. So really what works for one child may not work for another. So we do communicate, and we try to kind of approach everything as a group. That way the child's kind of getting everything at once while still having the focus on the one area that we're working on. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and I'm sure that it's nice for them to have friends and see everything else that's going on. I think that's
Very
probably a
social.
benefit as well, right?
Yes, we work with pragmatics, which is social language. So being able to engage in parallel play. So using the same items or toys, but not actually playing together with them, but side by side, and then kind of graduating to cooperative play. So a lot of what I do, especially with the little ones, is play. So somebody may be like, oh, you get to play all day. I do. I absolutely get to play all day, and it's a lot of fun.
I do that too. I play all day. Sorry, Fran, no playing for you.
Do you ever meet somebody in your, when you're not at work, you just encounter somebody and start talking to them and you feel like you would like to be their speech pathologist?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
that's
And
a
again, you
touchy
have to
situation.
tread lightly. That's right.
Yeah.
I just said it to my mother, because obviously Jewel is my mom. I said it to my mother yesterday that my daughter shows signs of having a lisp. Now, she's only 16 months old. That is not something developmentally we need to work on right now, but I already know that I'm going to be working on that with her. But yes, in the grocery store, I will see people or things going on that I'm like, love to work with that
Me
child.
too, but
I
it's
would
not
love
about
to work with that
speech.
adult.
Me too. How could we do that? How could we have like a little booth at the front of the supermarket? 5 ways to shop kinder.
That's a great idea.
I
Isn't
do screeners for one of my preschools now. And what that entails is it is a standardized screener. So it has been, it is evidence based. And what it does is it kind of just allows us to see some of the red flags if there are any. So if they're able to accomplish a certain amount of the criteria to pass, then great. If not, then hey, you may want to look out and in the future possibly reach out for an evaluation. Because a big thing for me is when in doubt, evaluate out. If you're nervous about something, ask the profession. I have a pediatrician. He is phenomenal. Love him. He is not an alarmist. He is so perfect for me when it comes to Theo and Annalise. But something I did notice with Theo was some of the sounds he was making. And I said, I'm not really sure if he can hear me well. And he's like, he's fine. He's fine. And sure enough, he continued to show those signs. So I was like, can you give us a referral for audiology? So we went down and the audiologist is like, what makes you come here? So I explained everything in my speechy way. And then my son had his evaluation and she was like, he performed exactly the way you said he was going to. And sure enough, he needed tubes. And that's not to say the pediatrician dropped the ball or anything, because a lot of times what happens is anatomically we grow and our ear kind of goes on more of an angle, letting all of the fluids out. And when a child is younger, if and when that ear canal is this way, the fluid gets stuck. And whether it becomes whether it has bacteria or not, it does impede on your sound and your acquisition of sounds. So you may hear different words or different sounds.
Okay. So he got the tubes and now he can hear fine?
Beautifully.
What? No, stop.
He can hear beautifully. And I want
He
to say
doesn't
within
listen,
2
but he can hear.
weeks, selective
No.
hearing.
Yeah,
Does.
we all have that too.
But we work on that too. So when I say cognition, we work on receptively. So receptive language is your following directions. That's huge. A lot of my little friends right now are having a lot of trouble following directions. I have had one of my neighbors, because I live in a building, say to me, oh, you're a speech pathologist. Why? Why aren't kids talking? Like, why are they like this and this and this? Like, why do you think this? And I said, honestly, I think it's cell phones. I don't think as children, my generation, your generation, we didn't have to fight with a rectangle in front of somebody's face. And I do think, and I say to my parents, it's okay to have the TV on. You have to get things done. That is okay. But to be able to limit screen time just a little, or to every once in a while when your child's watching that show, look over and be like, wow, look, she's going to jump, 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 jump. It allows that language to go from being on a television to being functional in your world. Another big thing right now is Miss Rachel. I love her. My son loves her. It does not provide functional language. It provides a lot of rote language. So yes, they'll understand their colors. But now let's see if we change the setting or the type of items that we're using, if we're still able to label those colors.
Right.
So, and that's kind of something else I do. I guide parents on how to find ways to use what they're already doing with things like Miss Rachel. So just narrate.
That's fascinating. That's wonderful. Because I so often will see parents, and I hate to be judgmental, but you see parents with little kids and the parents are on the device. And I
Yes.
just, why did you have children if you wanted to pay so much attention to this? Don't you want to be with your little kid and show them the roses and show them the plants over there and the dog up the street, all these other things. But they're just, they're pushing their kid in the stroller and they're on a phone. And I just
And
think
go
that's
to a
right.
restaurant, and let me tell you, people my age, okay,
Yes.
we wouldn't be part of it, but people sitting at it, you'll see 4 people sitting at a table in a restaurant and everybody's on their phone. But something else I notice, if my husband and I have a conversation about Home Depot or something, whatever, we're talking about something. The next day, when I go to look at my emails, there'll be advertisements for whatever it is we were discussing. So what I believe cell phones do is they listen and they gear everything to what you're doing so that you get sucked in. Now, I have Instagram and Facebook and all that. I don't really do it. I'm not obsessed with it. I don't have to check it. You know, I mean, I don't even check my emails as much as I should. There'll be 400 or 500, but I see what happens. I think that you get sucked in. You know what I mean? You
It's
go to
like a
check
bug
one
to
thing and
light.
then all of a sudden an hour has gone past because and I think that's what happens. It's addictive. I think that's what it is. We have to have like maybe, no cell phones for an hour a day or start the day. You know what I mean? I think that would be something that would be helpful too. And also, I don't think people are really good at talking to each other anymore. Another thing, one more thing I'm going to say, I'm getting to be an old lady. LOL. Listen, LOL is not universal. You don't have to write LOL after every say. It's not
I
funny.
do that a
Don't
lot.
write it. LOL. That's not LOL. I don't know. Oh, and one other thing, I want to make a plug. There's a show on Netflix, Leanne. You have to watch it, Fran. Everybody out there, anyone listening, it is so funny. She's so kind and sweet, and it's really good. So everybody should watch it. There we go,
Okay,
my plug.
I will watch it then.
I'll
You
take a
should.
look.
You'll like it. It's good. So Lauren, let me ask you something. If there is something that you would want people to take away as a speech pathologist, what would you like them to take away today? One thing.
I guess to piggyback off of what we were just speaking about, try to set. So before I had children, I would say set 45 minutes to an hour and really sit down and give your kids time and not need time, but want time. So there's a big difference. When your child needs you, it's because they need a new diaper. It's because they need to go to bed. They need to brush their teeth. They need something from you to be fed. Give them time that's not needed, that's just wanted. And now that I have children, sorry, an hour is crazy because you're busy. There are a million things you need to do. So what I try to do is I tell my families, set an alarm for 15 minutes. Put that phone somewhere where it is not near you, where you're not going to answer a text message. You're not going to be tempted to look at it. If you can make those 15 minutes and you're having fun, make it a little longer, make it that extra 5. And each time try to see if you're doing something and you're in the middle of it and it's already been 20 minutes, maybe make it 30. And you're going to see such a change within your family. You will, because again, that's the way I grew up. We had Friday nights where we watched movies together. We did fun things. My parents spoke to us when we went on walks. It wasn't just me kind of taking in the world by myself, being like, look, something's flying in the sky, but do I know that it's flying? Because nobody's ever said that word to me. Like, it's such a big deal to interact, and socially we're losing that. There is a giant loss in socialization, in the ability to communicate, and it does not matter the age. I mean, I find it more so with adults right now that there's that disconnect, and we need to start putting phones down because that is not real life. That is not present. It's not right now. And I think that that is the biggest thing to take away. Try to be your best self socially and communicatively. Like, it makes a difference in people's lives to make eye contact, to smile, to wave. Like, there's such a huge difference when we go to Pennsylvania than when we're in New York. I mean, you wave at somebody, they wave back to you. New York, they're like,
I wave at everybody. I
like,
went for a walk today. I waved at everybody. I don't look at their faces really to see if they're afraid I'm going to like carjack them, but I wave and I keep going. I'm not looking for the response, which one yoga teacher had told me. You hold the door for someone. If you hold the door and you say, "You're welcome,"
you're welcome.
then you ruin the whole thing. Just hold the door and go about your business, but yeah, I think that's good. And our expectations too. I think, we get up in the morning, we have the expectations of what the day's going to be. We have a to-do list. We have 1,000 things we have to get through. So it's hard to just take 15 or 20 minutes out, but if you start to plan that, like meditating in the morning or going for a walk or exercising, something that will give you quality of life. because that 15 minutes is going to mean more. Laying on a blanket with a kid and looking at the sky. There's so many things you can do. Going on an adventure, hunting for, hey, today we're going to look for, whatever, yellow rocks or whatever, or yellow flowers. And it's so much fun to watch them find it and do things. And that's a good
Explore and adventure. That's what our world is about. Like, the world isn't happening to us. We are happening to the world. And I don't know who said that. It was not me, but whoever said it, they're right.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Thank you so much for this. This is wonderful.
Yes, we appreciate it. You could be doing 15 minutes of, adventures. Instead, you adventure with us. Thank you.
Thank
This
you
is an
so much.
Yeah. We
If,
appreciate it. Thank you.
if somebody recognizes that a child could use a speech pathologist, how does the person get in touch with you or with someone like you?
So it varies state by state. So in New York, if the child is under the age of 3, you would contact early intervention, and you should be able to look it up in your area, in your town. For ages above 3, you're going to contact your school district, because it is your right as a taxpaying citizen in your district, if you have concerns, to reach out and seek that evaluation.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And it was wonderful, and it's just delightful to see you speak about it. You're so passionate about it. It really is very nice. And
love it.
excellent, excellent. And it loves you, clearly. All right. Well, this has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran and our very special guest, Lauren Kennish. And please like and share this video. And thank you for joining us, and join us again, won't you?
Thank
So
you
long
for
for
having
now.
me.
Okay, Doug. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Lauren.
Ciao. I'm going to stop recording now. Okay.